when we get introduced to the idea of abhinaya, it's not expression alone that we are introduced to. We at once get in touch with the socio-cultural context, embedded hierarchies, and societal beliefs and practices. Malaka trained in Abhinaya with Srimati Kalanidhi Narayanan for 20 years, after which she delved into her own works which lay beyond the traditional margam. Her expansive repertoire includes works that are delicately sensual as well as those that are deeply spiritual. She takes us through what bhakti, devotion, and Shringara, passion, mean to her. You are watching The Arc of the Artist, Malavika Sarukkai, looking back at 5 decades of dancing through candid conversations with Karuna Sagari.
Kalanidhi Mami was really about this whole range and the world of Abhinaya and this gesture language which she had and the way she utilized it. That was my big learning, which I had not, obviously, as a young girl of 11 and 12. I didn't find that in my training in Bombay. So my more mature training, when I was able to really absorb and even do Shringara, even attempt to handle Shringara pieces, was all with Kalanidhi Mami. And of course, she was a queen of Shringara because she loved Shringara. So she had a field day teaching me all the wonderful pieces she thought I should do, because it was always what she wanted her students to learn. Right. She would turn the book and say, "Sari, inniki, we will take this piece." So I just learned whatever. Right. And the first piece she taught me was this Yettane Shonnalam. Right. Okay. Which is, I thought, very apt, because perhaps she thought I was this Bombay girl who knew nothing, and I needed a little bit of a on my to say, now you must learn to be obedient and little domesticated and learn these things. So I think she taught that to me, I'm sure, with a reason. I never asked her, but I believe she did. I think, initially learning in that beautiful veranda with this red oxide floor, it was just fabulous. And when I had all the time in the day to sit with her, because after I stepped out of college and I said I only want to dance, and anyway, that's another story. So I just had time to sit with her, observe her in my class, observe her in other classes. Initially, of course, it was just just the fullness of all this Abhinaya language and emotion and Shringara Rasa and all the nuances which the Padams and Javalis would take us through. So I think the initial stage must have been 17, 18, 19, 20, something like that, was this very romantic phase in my head. Very romantic, because it was all like intensely sensuous. And it almost like there was nothing more than Shringaram, and just this nuances and prime. I mean, we're also 18 and 19 and feeling this desire and what have you. So it's wonderful. Everything kind of comes together, and that was it. But later on, as she taught me more and more pieces, there were questions I would ask her about it. Just questions, or would perhaps say some pieces I might not want to learn. There might be some pieces I was not particularly keen on learning, or there might have been pieces she taught me which I would not have performed. So there was some questions which started arising. about this whole Jivatma Paramatma, because I definitely worked with this. I learned at a time when Jivatma Paramatma was very much, should we say, a part. I mean, um, it was impressed into the padams. I won't say the javalis, but definitely the padams were expected to have this. And somewhere I started feeling unease about it because somewhere I felt it was not ringing true, or I was just not, it was almost like what was steady and what was very, kind of a firm footing suddenly started feeling a little like little imbalanced, saying, oh, am I doing it right? Where am I putting my foot? So that's how questions started arising. I think the sort of intense sensuality, that fine sort of uh, quivering, delicate sensuality, all that I was able to accept. But I think I needed but to place that with a Jivatma Paramatma, what in my mind, what I understood as a Jivatma Paramatma, the kind of surrender or the quality that I expected, I think the poetry did not give me that. The poetry did not provide that. Whereas I feel if I had done Andal, Nachiyar Tirumodi, I probably would have been comfortable with it. Because the poetry has sensuality, but it also has uh, this deeper uh, surge, this deeper longing, which is runs close to sensuality. It's not imposed. It's not imposed upon it. Whereas I think for me, as far as the padams were concerned, but perhaps some pieces like some Kshetriya pieces might have been kind of okay because it's Mukha Gopala and because sort of it might be okay. But pieces like an Indendu and all that made absolutely no sense to me. I said, why don't I look at? I would prefer to do Indendu as just a love song, and it's fantastic. Why not Idai Vida Vera Vendu as a love song? Wonderful. Just treat it as a love song.
For more content like this, please subscribe to the Kalavaahini YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon to be notified when we release a new video. Thank you.